Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another, well, Yu-Gi-Oh video for you. Not quite Master Duel, because today I'm going to be talking a little bit about the TCG. A few days ago, the TCG actually had a new ban list that went into effect, and I wanted to not only take this moment to talk about those changes, but also a little bit about the ban list as a whole, the TCG ban list. This is something that I've alluded to. I might have even made a video on this before. I really don't remember actually off the top of my head, but just kind of like why, because in both videos and on social media, I've been pretty vocally not a fan of the TCG meta and ban list, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about that today alongside these recent changes. And honestly, a lot of these recent changes do kind of highlight a lot of my frustrations with the TCG ban list in particular. So gonna kind of, I guess, warn you all now, this is another kind of soapboxy rant, I guess, kind of opinion video. So if that's not your jam, then we'll see you tomorrow. But anyway. So let's go over the new changes first, and I'll kind of talk about those individually as we come across them, right? First new changes, Gimmick Puppet Nightmare to 0 was limited, and Jowgen the Spiritualist to 0 was limited. Was Nightmare really at 1? That's actually a complete joke of a hit, if that's true. TCG seems to tolerate a lot of those for some reason. I mean, I've talked about Albion before on the channel. I will say this. I don't think outside of Albion Sanctifier, a Jowgen ban is completely unwarranted. However, I don't think that a Nightmare ban is warranted outside of a Sanctifier ban. Yeah, to hit Gimmick Puppet Nightmare in particular, and not Albion Sanctifier, still completely baffles me. Sanctifier is just a mistake of a card as far as design goes. And yeah, I've said my piece about Albion Sanctifier before when we talked about similar hits that occurred in Master Duel. But again, I don't think Jowgen to 0 is totally unwarranted. The other ban was Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye, and this is going to be the first of quite a few examples, actually, of... sorry if you can hear that in the background, by the way. It's really windy out today, and it's squeaking by the window there. Holy. Anyway. Yeah, so Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eye ban. Okay. What? I have mixed feelings about this. Let me talk about the hit itself. I don't hate banning OSS, but I don't really know if I like it. I actually don't really like it, in addition to a lot of the other hits that Snake Eye has taken. If OSS is 0, for example, like, does Poplar really need to be at 1? I kind of don't think so. And here's the thing, though. They would never ban OSS, and I think you could even take Poplar to 2 if you really wanted to experiment, but they would never hit a Snake Eye card on this list and then unhit a Snake Eye card in the same list. And there's a very distinct reason for that. It's not game balancing purposes. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you think the purpose of the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG ban list is, the first and foremost purpose is to balance the metagame, you're kidding yourself. The first and foremost purpose is to get you to buy the latest pack and deck. Now, this is not a criticism that is wholly unique of the TCG format, because I believe me, I can see those comments that you're getting ready to type already, that Master Duel and OCG do this as well. First of all, I don't want to come across as somebody who's like particularly defending Master Duel or the OCG ban list as wholly good and what we should be doing. I find that when you have opinions and you make content, people make a lot of assumptions, right? There's a very real, if you've ever seen this meme before, you know, it's like somebody tweeting, "I like oranges," and somebody responding, "I can't believe you hate apples." There's a lot of that. And I'm going to try to preempt some of these comments here. First and foremost, again, my criticism of the TCG format does not, 1, mean that these criticisms are unique to the TCG format, and 2, that I hold Master Duel or OCG formats ban lists necessarily to a higher standard. I think that Master Duel and OCG ban lists are also extremely guilty of hitting cards just to effectively rotate the format. I just think that in TCG, that is a lot more front and center than in MD or OCG, right? A lot more front and center. Again, they were never going to ban OSS, but then loosen some restrictions on other Snake Eye cards. And again, that's not for balancing purposes. That's because Konami doesn't want you to play Snake Eyes anymore. That's because Raziel and Malice are out now. You have new $1,000 decks to buy. I'm not even exaggerating. And the most frustrating part is that we literally all know this is true, but when we like the hit, we selectively ignore that. That's something that the whole community is extremely guilty of, and I've seen it a lot. And I don't even think, again, I don't even think OSS to 0 is a horrible hit to Snake Eye. I do notice in particular a couple of things, actually. One, with all of the restrictions aside from OSS to 0, especially when it was already at 1 in TCG, Snake Eye was already proving to not really be that much of a problem. We've seen this in the OCG as well. Snake Eye is all but non-existent. They don't even have OSS to 0. They just have all, I believe, the same restrictions or similar ones that TCG does. They might even have, I think they have more than one OSS, actually. And Snake Eye still is, like, I'm not exaggerating when I say doing nothing currently. It does nothing. And again, it's not that Snake Eye is so powerful that they've decided to address it. It's that Konami TCG doesn't want you to play Snake Eye. They want you to move to Raziel Malice. Let's keep going. Let's keep going because I'm gonna expand on this a lot more. Shunjiro to 1. Shunjiro to 1, as well as Phantom of Yubel to 1. These are just two more hits that are prime examples of this. Now, okay, I will say this much. Contrary to what I said about Snake Eye, with Yubel, we are actually going to see an example of a restriction and then also an unrestriction, which I'm in favor of. So it's not that they never do it. That's another thing that happens a lot when you make content that's opinionated. You point out one example and people assume that you think that's universally true when you're really just talking about one example. Because I already know that there's going to be a comment that's saying, well, for all your criticism of Snake Eye, they actually did unlimit the gates. And they did. They unlimited opening of the Spirit Gates. On the same list that they limited Phantom of Yubel, which I think is great. But it's not something they do across the board, and it's not something that happens often enough. Phantom of Yubel, also a thing that, to 1 rather, Phantom of Yubel to 1 is definitely a thing that just should have happened earlier, and we all know it. And the only reason it's happening now is because, again, Malice and Raziel just came out, and it's time for you to buy those decks. Don't play Yubel anymore. Now we can balance Yubel. Now that you have a new deck to buy. Yeah. Same with Shunjiro to 1. I mean, this and also Samgen Kaiman going to 1 is, yeah, just kind of more examples of that. Like, it is frustrating to me, the acknowledgement that knowing that releasing Tempai with 3 of all of its cards was a problem. And again, not addressing it until we have a new deck to buy. And yet, at the same time, people will only focus on the fact that, yay, Tempai got hit. I hate playing against Tempai, and Tempai got hit, yay. I think we really need to be talking about this more, even when it's a hit, again, that we do like. Anyway. Zodiac Barrage from 0 to 1. Were Drident, though. Because, spoiler alert, they did not unban Drident. So this actually kind of touches upon the other aspect of the ban list. The other aspect of the ban list pushing you to play only the more... favor you towards, rather. Not only. That's very selective talk. The tendency of the ban list to push you towards buying newer decks is that Konami of TCG, more so than OCG and especially Master Duel, is very slow to unhit things. Now, to be fair, in Master Duel, they actually do have a monetary incentive to unban cards, which is why, one of the reasons why I think they're a little more loose with doing that over there, right? If they unban Dragoon and the Nightmares, that's yours that we spend, right? So I'm aware that that's one of the incentives to do it in MD. But here in the TCG, we definitely see that Konami is comically slow to unban things. Zodiac stuff has not been an issue in MD or OCG since getting unbanned. So why is Barrage coming from 0 to 1 without Dryden also even getting unbanned at all, right? And the answer is that Konami does not want you to play Zodiac. Konami of TCG wants you to play Raziel and Malice. And they were very, very aggressive with that. Again, I know that that's something that happens in every format. I really am just very frustrated by how aggressive TCG pushes that. And being slow to unhit cards that are not problems is probably just my biggest issue, my bigger issue. As opposed to only hitting things. Well, I mean, of course, that's also something I find an issue, to only address problems in the format when a new meta deck for people to buy comes around, but being slow to unban things. Like, okay. The Mathmech Circular ban in the TCG, now that Malice is out, makes a lot more sense. Makes a lot more sense to me. From a monetary gain perspective. Why would Konami want you to play Cyber Stacks that aren't the latest one that'll cost you lots of money? Why would they want that? So in order to ensure that, we ban Circular. Like, I mean, really, we are so far past the point of even pretending that Circular is a problem. And yet, this card has... I'm not going to say no, because there are a few. I see you, Shiggy. This card has so few champions in the TCG. Why? Because people just don't like it. And that, I think, is my greatest frustration with people who defend the TCG ban list. They defend choices not for game balance purposes, and often by their own admission, but for game design purposes, which I have recently made a whole video about my issue with that. One, and there are a lot of people out there who need to hear this, you're not a game designer. I'm not saying you can't ever have opinions about game design, but to value game design over game balance when you play the game competitively and don't design it actually just baffles me. But anyway, let's press on. Why is Circular banned? From a balance perspective, there's no reason for it. And whether or not you think it should be banned because it's bad game design is so highly subjective. And I know, because whenever I bring this up, people are always like, well, banning or unbanning things for or for power balance purposes is also subjective. I know, I'm aware of that. But there are degrees of subjectivity. And to ban something because you think it's not great card design is so insanely subjective that I don't see it. I'm just gonna be frank here. I don't see it as a valid reason to put something on a list of banned and limited cards whose express and intent purpose is to balance the power of the format. We can say that with quite a few things, honestly. Electromite is another one. Why is Electromite banned still? Why? It's been so unbelievably proven in OCG and MD that this card is not an issue. Y'all don't even have Baron and Borreload and Apo! And like, nobody has a problem with Electromite being banned. Not nobody. There are champions out there. I see you, JJ. But this is an issue that more people need to be addressing, because but again, we all just turn a blind eye to it because fuck Pend. We don't like Pendulum. I don't want to deal with that. Who cares if it's not too powerful? I don't want to deal with it. So I think the card should stay banned. This attitude is so unbelievably frustrating. Same with these generic hits, by the way. I saw a lot of people champion the banning of like Apo, Borload, and Baron. And again, Konami did not do this to balance the format because these were not necessary hits to balance the format. Konami hits these powerful generic cards so that you are more incentivized to play a more streamlined strategy, i.e. an archetype. And as Konami is funneling you archetypes with this ban list, they are so clearly incentivizing the latest ones for you to spend money on. It's like, why is number 42 Galaxy Tomahawk banned? I've asked this question multiple times. One of the most common answers I get is because it can make a format Appaloosa. If you think that spending 2 level 7 monsters and probably about a third of your extra deck to make a format Appaloosa is a good play in 2024 Yu-Gi-Oh!, I don't know what to tell you other than that you are incorrect. I suspect the reason that Tomahawk is banned, and to be clear, this is in a world where Auroradon is banned, right? Which I'm not even going to touch that. That's its own whole separate argument. But to have Tomahawk banned as well, and to try to use making a format... I would love to hear the justification too, now that Appaloosa is banned. Why is Tomahawk banned? What are you doing with this card that is ban-worthy? Nothing. There is nothing you could do with this card in the current format, in my opinion, that is ban-worthy. But this is a card that opens up generic strategies. And Konami doesn't want you to play a pile deck, Konami of TCG. They really, really, really want you to buy the latest deck. It's a point I keep circling back on because it is the first and foremost decision point of these hits, which is my first and foremost issue with this list. Did we even cover all the hits? we didn't cover the unbannings. Why are all these cards going to 2? Monkey board? Huh? Eva? Huh? Danger cards? These were limited? Why? Because they're generic. Because they enable pile decks. And all these cards going to 3 is like, so whatever. So hopefully you all understand a little more where I'm coming from. When I say I have, like, I don't know. To say I have zero respect for the TCG format is an exaggeration for sure. And there are things about this list that I think are good hits. Again, with a lot of people trying to conflate the fact that I have a lot of issues with this list to me saying there's nothing good about this. There are good things about this list. There's one right at the top here. Artifact Scythe to 0. I think that's a great hit. Ronin Totem to 0. I think is also a great hit. Again, my main point here is that of the list in Yu-Gi-Oh!, I take the most issues with the TCG. And it also, a lot of the reason I get frustrated with TCG players discussing the list is this willingness to turn a blind eye to hits that are not warranted because you dislike the card. I think that is an incredibly disingenuous way to look at the balance of a format. And that's just, again, that's not a new thing. That's not a new thing for me. You've heard me say that before. So I think that this is going to go ahead and do it. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. I always get really apprehensive about uploading videos like this. This almost was a Patreon video, then this almost wasn't a video at all. And I decided to just go ahead and fire it off here. Last time I did a sort of opinion piece on the whole ban list discussion is actually just pointless, which is really what I should have named that video. Recently, it was a lot more well received than I thought it would be, so I hope the same is true here. And as always, you know, in the comments, discourse is fun. Discourse is more than welcome. Rudeness is not. It's just a reminder that I think might be worth giving here. But anyway, yeah, that's gonna go ahead and do it for this video. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get this one out. I'm not gonna bother throwing the outro on it. Thanks for listening to me rant. Those of you who if you actually watch this whole video, you are a very special viewer. I really do truly appreciate you. Oh, you know what? No, I need to throw in the outro to have to thank patrons and YouTube members, right? Of course. So yeah, never mind. Let's just go ahead and cut now to that outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up, and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.